The Berserkers, Odin's fearless warriors. The Berserkers, a legend of fire and blood. They did not fear steel. They did not fear fire. They did not fear death itself. They were the Berserkers, Odin's chosen, the monsters of the north. As Viking longships cut through the stormy seas, their warriors stood unshaken, gripping their axes, eyes burning with an unnatural fire. Lightning split the sky, illuminating their carved dragon-headed prows, while the men aboard remained silent. Their minds were fixed on the battle ahead, their thoughts lost in the bloodshed to come. Among them stood Hrothgar, a warrior marked by fate, his face painted with blood-red runes. To become a berserker was not a choice, it was a calling. A warrior did not simply wake up and decide to surrender himself to the gods. He was chosen, marked by something beyond human understanding. And once the path was taken, there was no return. Hrothgar had walked that path long ago, kneeling before a shaman on a night thick with smoke and prophecy. The firelight danced over the old man's twisted features as he whispered words in the ancient tongue. Sacred runes had been carved into Hrothgar's skin, their deep cuts filled with the blackened blood of a sacrificial beast. Then came the drink, the thick black liquid, steaming in the cold air. It smelled of earth and death, the stench of something unnatural. Some said it was the gift of Odin himself, filling their veins with divine fury. Others claimed it was a madness, twisting men into monsters. Hrothgar hesitated only for a moment before raising the bowl to his lips. The taste was bitter, the effect immediate. His heart pounded, his skin burned, and the world around him twisted. The shaman's voice was distant now, lost in the rising storm within his mind. He gasped, his breath coming in ragged bursts. Then the fire took him. The rage did not come as a slow boil, it struck like lightning. His vision darkened, his body trembled, and then a roar erupted from his throat. He felt his muscles tighten, his hands clench into fists strong enough to shatter bone. In battle, the Berserkers did not fight like other men. They did not march in neat formations, waiting for the command to strike. They ran, charged, and hurled themselves into the enemy lines with no regard for their own lives. They felt no pain and feared no death. The village stood quiet at dawn, unaware of the nightmare that approached. Saxon farmers tilled their fields while their children played in the open. The guards walked lazily along wooden palisades, unaware of the danger beyond the hills. Then, from the distance, the shadows emerged. The Berserkers came, howling like wolves, their war cries shaking the very air. The enemy barely had time to draw their swords before the storm crashed into them. Axes split shields like rotten wood, and spears shattered against Berserker flesh. Hrothgar was in the heart of it, his axe carving through men like they were nothing. The Saxons fought back, but it was hopeless. Their weapons found flesh, but the Berserkers did not fall. They fought as if death could not touch them, their bodies ignoring wounds that should have felled any man. Hrothgar felt the bite of steel, but it was distant, unimportant. The rage was all that mattered. The Berserkers tore through the village, their enemies breaking before them. Their screams were lost beneath the roars of Odin's chosen. But what the world saw as strength was also their curse. The rage did not leave them when the battle ended. It consumed them, haunted them, drove them into madness. Some could not tell friend from foe, their minds drowning in the storm. Others wandered aimlessly, trembling in the aftermath of their fury. That night, as the village smoldered in ruin, the Berserkers sat around their fires. Mead flowed freely, and songs of victory rang into the cold night air. But Hrothgar did not drink, nor did he sing. He sat apart from the others, staring into the flames, feeling the weight of the silence pressing against him. The rage had left him now, and in its place was something far worse, a hollow, endless void. He had seen it happen before to the greatest of their kind. The Berserkers did not grow old, nor did they live to tell their own tales. When the gods had no more use for them, they cast them aside. Some fell in battle, their bodies riddled with wounds that finally caught up to them. Others lost themselves completely, their minds breaking under the weight of their own fury. Hrothgar had fought alongside men who had woken screaming in the night. They clawed at their own skin, as if the rage still burned beneath it. He had seen warriors once proud and strong, reduced to hollow husks. They could no longer tell dream from reality, lost in the madness of their own making. He had seen men, monsters, fade into nothing, and he knew that his time would come soon. Years passed, and Hrothgar's name became legend. Kings and jarls sought his axe, offering riches, land, and glory. But none of it mattered to him anymore. The rage was harder to summon now, and when it came, it was worse. One night, beneath a blood-red moon, the call came. A great army approached from the south, Saxons seeking vengeance for past raids. Thousands of them, marching with steel and fury in their hearts. Hrothgar did not hesitate. The battle came at dawn, the Berserkers standing upon the hill, outnumbered 10-1. They did not waver, their axes gripped tightly. Hrothgar stood at their head, feeling the old fire stir. But this time, he did not drink the sacred potion. The horns blew, and the enemy charged. The Berserkers ran to meet them, roaring like beasts unleashed from their chains. Axes met shields, spears shattered, and blood soaked the ground. Hrothgar moved through the chaos like a force of nature. He did not feel the sword that pierced his side. He did not hear the battle cries fading around him. He struck and struck again, until his arms would no longer move. And then, at last, the fire in his veins began to fade. Hrothgar fell to his knees. The battle raged around him, but he no longer heard it. He looked up at the sky, dark, endless, waiting. He had fought as a beast and would die as a man. A final breath, a whisper to the gods, and then nothing. The Berserkers vanished, their time lost to history. But their legend remains. The men who became beasts, the warriors who feared nothing. Their echoes still whisper in the winds of time. They were the beasts of the north, warriors who surrendered to the fury of Odin. Though time has erased their footprints from the battlefield, their legend lives on. It is etched into the stones of ancient lands, whispered in the howling winds of the north. The Berserkers vanished, but their echoes remain. This has been Legends and Lore. If you enjoyed this journey into history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, may your axes stay sharp and your legends never fade.